What's up guys, this is Damien J and this is Bourbon Base Barbells. Today we're going to be trying out the Mash Bill 2 line of the Buffalo Trace. Whew. Alright guys, well, it finally happened. I finally got all 4 Infinity Stones. Rumor has it, if you snap your fingers, Thanos arrives and he actually quadruples the price of all allocated bourbons. I finally got a hold of this. Shout out to Frank in Denver, Colorado for being kind enough to trade me a couple of bottles to get this guy. It's been a long road to get it, but it's finally here. And again, I finally completed the set. Please forgive the location. The dogs are in the other room. My wife is out of town, and that's why we have this set up here. So I have some water. I have these in a row. I wanted to mix them in front of you. So we have the Hancock's Reserve, which is number 4. I'm actually going the opposite way. It's 88.9 proof. We have the Elmer T. Lee, which is a 90 proof at number 3. And then the Blanton's at number 2. Sorry, I keep looking because the dogs are running around. I have the Blanton's at number 2. This is actually a 93 proof bourbon. And then of course the Rock Hill Farms. This is going to be our 100 proof bourbon. These are all single barrel offerings in the Buffalo Trace line. The only thing missing here is the Ancient Age. I didn't want to add that because I have a feeling it's going to be quite terrible and I'd hate to mess up 4 really good bourbons with one bad one. So, as you can see, it's going to be a little bit hard for me to mix these the normal way that we would mix them because there's tape on there, and I actually have a felt cover on this bad boy so that we don't mess up the table when we're playing card games. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna start from the left-hand side. No idea what it is. I imagine when I tilt the glass, you're gonna see what it is. Oh, this smells lovely. Lots of brown sugar. Cherry, the typical Buffalo Trace notes. Grape, of course. Oh my. This is actually quite amazing. A lot of Marciano cherry. Not too overpowering with the oak. It tastes delightful. If I were to guess, I would guess this was the Hancock's because I'm partial to the Hancock's. Oh yeah, it's really, really good. Little bit of an ethanol note towards the end, but tasty nonetheless. Quite enjoy that one. All right, let's dive into number 2. The other thing is we're getting a dog door installed and there's flies in the house because we have the window cracked for them, or excuse me, the sliding glass cracked for them, and it's a mess, but another story for another time. Here goes our taste number 2. It's like I said, you could say everything that I just said about that first one, apply it to this. A little bit more on the dark fruit side. It smells a little bit lighter. Again, it's a pretty tasty pour. Getting cherries, more of that dark fruit. A little bit of plum in there. It almost finishes with like a clove taste, which leads me to believe that it might be the Blanton's just because of that clove flavor. But very much, it's got that grape note again. Cherry, your typical VOC, vanilla oak, caramel, and or cherry. So a little bit more vanilla forward on that last taste. But all in all, a lot of the same notes. You can kind of tell it's the same mash bill. I think it's like 15% rye, so a little bit of that rye kind of shines through. And goes number 3. Interesting, so this one, I'm gonna do it this way. I think it's a little bit easier to do it this way. I hate putting my hands toward the top. So this one is almost a little bit more corn forward. A little bit of that young ethanol smell that you get from a younger bourbon. If I were to guess, I would say this is the Elmer T. Lee. And I know that sounds weird because I'm saying younger bourbon and this has a tendency to be a little bit older. I think they said 6 to 8. But I would guess this is the Elmer, just from the smell. So it definitely tastes different than these two, where these two kind of tasted close to the same. This one, a little bit more of that rye note. A little bit more, again, corn forward in the taste. Not so much ethanol, but there is a burn there and there's a youngness to the taste as well that make me feel like it's a little bit younger. I would guess it's the Elmer. See, now I'm getting a little bit more of the cherry note. That typical grape. Still, very much a more less sweet, more of a bitter kind of taste. A little bit more oak, a lot more corn forward. It smells and tastes like a little bit younger. So again, I would guess the Elmer T. Lee. Let's get into this last one. All right, last one. So then this one's kind of back to normal again. We're back to that very cherry forward grape, very light. Kind of smell here. Let's see. So this one is, it's very light. I hate to say it, but I'm almost guessing that one's the Hancock's again, just because it's very light, very dark fruit forward, not very much by way of finish. If I were to guess again, I think I might have mixed these up and they're in order. And I don't know if it's just my brain telling me this, but so far it seems like this is the Rock Hill, this is the Blanton's, this is the Elmer, and this is the Hancock's. And that'd be insane if I mixed it up and put them exactly back in the same place. We may have to call it and do it over if that's the case, but very light, and I'm assuming that's the Hancock's. This very first one honestly didn't taste like anything I've ever had before, and I've never had the Rock Hill Farm until today, so that's why I'm thinking that might be the Rock Hill. Get one more sip of this. See, now it's a little bit more of that drying oak kind of flavor. So a little bit more oaky. I don't know if that's just cumulative from me going from left to right. I'm gonna go ahead and reveal them now. Normally I would go back in reverse. I think I will do that, but let's go ahead and reveal which ones are which, just because I think it's gonna be first, second, third, and fourth. I know some people might not like that. I'm touching these bottles like they are definitively them, so maybe they're not, but let's just check real quick. So this one is number 3. So this is actually the Elmer. This one is number 2, which is the Blanton's. This one is number 1, which is the Rock Hill. And that leaves, of course, the Hancock's at number 4. So it looks like from this blind that I've done here, this is what we ended up with. We ended up with first being the Elmer, which I'm really surprised. We're going with number 2, that's the Blanton's. Number 3, that's the Rock Hill. And then number 4, that's the Hancock's Reserve. So let's do it left to right again. Now that I know what they are, it's gonna totally change things. I mean, it makes sense. It's very, very light. It's not strong at all. It's what the insiders would call smooth. Our bourbon insiders would definitely call this smooth. I think it's still a tasty pour, even though it's in last place. It was really kind of hard to decide which one of these was going to be the champion, really. That's just crazy to me. That was the Rock Hill. So let's go to the Rock Hill. Let's see if I stick to my guns. Yeah, I would say that's so overrated. You know, for the first time having it, I think the ethanol burn comes from it just being a little bit too high in proof. Comparatively speaking, of course, this being the only 100 proofer in here. The sample that's in here is actually from 2018. This bottle is actually from 2020. Hopefully I'll get to crack it someday. I'd like to have a backup before I do, but there's a 2018 in this glass, and I don't know if, again, with all these being single barrel, it's very tough because you don't know if it's just the barrel. So from what I can tell, this 2018, kind of unremarkable. Again, that ethanol may be coming from a little bit higher in that proof point. I'm kind of surprised by this Blanton's. Full disclosure on this Blanton's, it's actually a store pick. This is just the bottle for the show. So I actually have a store pick of it that has gotten better over time as it's been open. I've had it for about a year. There's probably about that much left in it. It's right behind me. But it seems to be a lot better. Yeah, I stick to it. It's pretty tasty. I'm kind of surprised because I hate Blanton's. I guess in this vertical, it makes sense that it would stand out. I think it's pretty tasty. It's the second highest in proof. Yeah, it's not a bad pour. Get one more little sippy poo. Yeah, it's not bad. Again, I don't think it's $100 good. If you can find it for 60, that's the price we want to be at, but paying more than that would just be insane. All right. Ooh, I'm really impressed by the Elmer. I almost feel bad that I've kind of down talked it in the past, but it's just got this really sweet, colorful, cherry note. Very heavy on that grape. It's the typical just Buffalo Trace product. And I don't know, it smells amazing. I don't know what's different today. I usually don't love this bourbon as much, but again, maybe comparatively speaking, it's completely different. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I'm surprised the most because Hancock's came in last. I've blinded these two, and this one has always won. So again, as I've been kind of going through these bottles, the flavor profile may have changed a bit. Because I typically like this one the most, and it came in last today. And then this guy, I didn't think was gonna rate as high, and she actually came in first. So pretty amazing. First place, second place, third place, fourth place. I'm gonna do something weird just because I can. Let's do a infinity bottle. Since we were talking about combining the powers of all four, let's do that now. Somebody is wincing that I'm doing this. Somebody's losing their mind that I'm doing this right now, but here we are. Let's mix all four of these bad boys together. And we'll call this the Infinity. And let's see what happens when I get snapped into existence. Didn't change the smell. Same mash bill, guess it makes sense. They should make a bottle out of that. That is surprisingly really, really good. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing this. I just thought to myself, hey, remember when we were in middle school and we take all the sodas and mix them together and call it a suicide and see what happens? This is pretty legit. It's like taking the best out of all of them and then taking away the dryness from the one. It has this very long cherry finish. a little bit of baking spice now. That clove on the back end. It's definitely taking the best out of all of them. I'm glad I did that, even though I'm sure somebody's screaming at the top of their lungs that I did it. But hey, sometimes you gotta know what it is. Man, one more sip. I know this is driving somebody crazy. Yeah, man. I mean, if you're gonna pick a way to have these bourbons, it's probably the best way to have it. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, secondary market, this is 100. Secondary market, this is like 150. Secondary market, this is like 250. Secondary market, this is like $90. Putting them all together, probably not the best of ideas, but it doesn't taste bad. I almost feel bad that I did it, but then I don't, because that's what the show is about, being weird. So that's all I got for you guys. May your bourbon be rare, and in this case, it's gonna be pretty rare. May your base be deep and your barbell heavy. Thanks for watching. Who knew?